Hello and welcome back. Today's video is going to be a full face of cream products and how I use cream products and a few of my favorites along the way. I'm going to use cream contour, cream blush, and cream highlighter. I've already done my eyeshadow, so that's not really part of the video, but I'm wearing the Metropolis palette in case anybody is curious. And yeah, I'm just going to show you the techniques I use. I'm really not an expert in this, but since doing the Partners in Cream Project Pan, where we're using all cream products, I've been really motivated to use more cream products and it's been a lot of fun. I think you can get a more natural look. I do still have to use some powder because I do have combination skin, and even when I had more dry skin and use cream products, I still need to do a little bit of setting, otherwise it does move. But I do think overall, you know, cream face products do look pretty natural. So let's just get into it. All right, I have moisturizer on my face, but nothing else. So first I'm gonna do a more pore filling primer. This is the Farsali Skin Tune. I've talked about this one a lot. I don't have much left in here actually. I have been putting on a primer with my beauty sponge. I mentioned that in my last tutorial. I don't know. I think it's more out of laziness, but I do like it. Then I'm going to use a different primer for this part of my face. I'm going to use the Wonder Glow. This is a deluxe size from Charlotte Tilbury, and it's just a glowy primer. I've mentioned in a few videos that I don't like putting this type of primer all over my face because they can accentuate lines and pores, but my cheek area, you know, isn't as bad as like, you know, my forehead. So I've just been using this for a little extra glow, but this is pretty subtle from what you can see. Alrighty, for cream contour, now you can do it underneath your foundation or on top of your foundation. I've done it both ways. Today I'm gonna do it underneath, and if you do that, you do need a lighter coverage foundation on top, so I'm gonna go with this ColourPop one. This is the Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer, because if you do put full coverage foundation on top of the contour, you won't really be able to see it much. And you don't really need a cream bronzer or cream contour, although everybody's been talking about those from Fenty, and I really do want to try the bronzers, but I'm trying to hold off and use what I have, and I've had this for a while. This is the Maybelline Dream Illuminator Corrector. It's basically a stick concealer, and I just bought it in a deep shade, and I use this for contour, and it works quite well. So I'm going to do that underneath. Now, because I'm going to use less coverage, I am going to put some concealer on the areas where I do need more full coverage, which for me is my forehead because I have some sunspots there, and the nose and chin area. This one is from Maybelline, by the way, and I really do like it. Basically, I'm putting quite a bit of concealer on, I guess, just because, like I said, I'm not going to be doing a high coverage foundation. But I will still put under eye concealer, but I will do that later. You could do it either way. You could probably do that at this point too. All right, I'm gonna do the contour now. And the nice thing about these sticks is that it's super easy to apply. And it's gonna look like I'm putting on a lot, but once you blend it in and then put the tinted moisturizer on top, it won't be as crazy. So I don't normally do a nose contour, but occasionally I do like to do it. I mean, my nose is on the larger side, but it doesn't really bother me. But I figure let's just go all out here. So yeah, I'm putting on quite a bit. The jawline, again, this is not something I do a lot, but I will say it does make your chin look more sculpted out, especially for like, you know, special occasions, photography, that sort of thing. Under the lip can make your lip look more full. I'm gonna blend this out with a brush. This is my favorite one for cream products, and I think Emily Noel recommended this a long time ago for cream blush. This is the e.l.f. Small Stipple Brush. I've had this for a very long time, so just gonna like start blending this out a little bit. And again, because we're gonna be putting that tinted moisturizer on top, it honestly doesn't even need to be like crazy well blended out, but the more you do, it helps. Yeah, the reason I don't like to sculpt out my chin usually is because I feel like you can risk getting this like dark line under here, which I don't love, but yeah. And if you were to do this on top of your foundation, which you totally can do, and like I said, I've done it both ways, you wouldn't want to put on this much, obviously, because you're not going to really be covering it up. And from here, I'm just kind of going into the hairline. I will say the nice thing about using what is technically a concealer for this is that it kind of just blends into the skin more naturally than a lot of, you know, specific cream contour products can at times. If you guys have any favorite, you know, bronzers, contours, blushes, please let us know, because now that I'm more into this, I'm definitely curious to try more. And if you've tried those Fenty bronzers and blushes, let us know. I've seen really good reviews though. People seem to really like them. All right, now I'm gonna do the tinted moisturizer. And like I said, this is the ColourPop one. My color is Fair 2W. I really do like this. It's very, very nice. And I'm going to try to put not very much of this on because I don't want to cover up, you know, what we did. Kind of more in the center of my face. And I actually didn't add any more to the forehead because I did a decent amount of concealer up there and I'm actually happy with that. So I'm just gonna let that be. Okay, so I am gonna kind of cover this up. I mean, it is gonna have to get covered up somehow. And I think it does make it look more blended as well. I mean, for a tinted moisturizer, this is actually a decent amount of coverage. So at this point, I mean, you could even add more of the contour if you want to, you know, there's options. You could do this a million ways. I probably added too much, honestly, to the nose area, but oh well, is what it is. I'm actually going to add just a tiny bit more here because I do feel like I covered that up a little too much. I'm kind of just touching up these areas, but I'm not adding additional product here. All right, time for under eye concealer. Going back into the Milani. I'm really enjoying this one. I finally finished my CoverGirl concealer, so I moved on to this one and it is fantastic. That concealer is actually a lot of coverage. The next thing will be the highlighter and the blush, and I'm going to use a liquid highlighter. All right, cream blush, I have 3 options actually. This is from Milk. This was the birthday gift at Sephora this year. This color is Werk, and I've talked about this one a lot on my channel. This is like a peachy pinky nude. And then the other 2 are more intense pinks. This one is Pretty Thing by ColourPop, and I will say these blush sticks by ColourPop, I do like these, but they don't blend as easily as the Milk one or my other option, which is Undone Beauty Lip to Cheek palette. This color is called Rosy. This one was sent to me for review. I really do like this one though. And this brand is sold at Target. This is currently in my Shop My Stash. And I will say the color is pretty similar to the ColourPop one. Although now that I'm looking at my eye look, because it is a pretty warm eye look, I think I'm gonna go with the Milk just because it's not as bright of a pink. So I think it'll match better. And you could do this like this, where you apply it directly to the cheek area. I've done this both ways, and then the other way that I've done this is just putting my finger on it and then adding it from there. I kind of like this way a little bit better just because I do think you get more control, you know, where this can look a bit crazier, but I'm still gonna blend this out with the beauty sponge also. That will be the next step here. And I use the same technique whether I'm using this one or the other 2 that I mentioned. This one I just think blends so easily. I'm just gonna little tapping motion And yeah, this one I haven't put any powders on, but I will be adding some later, but not very much because I do want this to look as natural as possible. And this is something where I feel like on camera you don't really see the difference, but in person, less powder can look more natural, whereas, you know, a lot of powder, that's where you kind of start to see the cakiness building up. All right, the blush is pretty subtle. I mean, I could add more if I want to, but that is one where I will be setting it with a little bit of powder blush. And then we're going to do a liquid highlighter. This is from Iconic London. This I got in Boxycharm, and I don't know if there's a color. It just says original. I think they do have a few other colors of this. This is pretty intense though. So I have a little paper thing over here. I'm just dropping a little bit there, and I'm gonna take my finger and go from there. I mean, look how metallic that is. This is really, really intense. I mean, look at that. Oh my gosh. I do feel like liquid highlighters, you have to work pretty quickly because they can start to set right away. So I do like to just do one cheek at a time, whereas the blush and the contour, I just kind of do it all at once and then blend it. But wow, that looks so nice. Wow. I feel like this looks a lot more natural than the usual powder highlight that I use. Wow, that looks nice. This is interesting because when I first used this, as you can tell, it looks like it would be way too dark. But once you could blend it in, it's fine. That's kind of the interesting thing about liquid highlighters. I feel like they look one way, but then once you blend it out, it's kind of different. So it looks a lot lighter. Okay, I'm really, really into the highlighter. You know, normally I've been setting this with another highlighter, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm gonna try not to do that. For my face, the most important part to set is definitely my under eyes because I have lines up there. I don't know if you can tell, the concealer is creasing in them. I'm not sure you can actually tell on camera, but I can't not use an under eye setting powder, especially because I like to smudge out eyeshadow on my lower lash line. I've talked about this a lot. Bare Minerals Mineral Veil, only powder I can use under my under eyes. It is pink toned, but there's just something about it that keeps my concealer from creasing. It's fantastic, and I always reblend the concealer like immediately before setting it. I'm trying to use not very much though here. Because I really don't want to cover up what we did with the highlighter. So normally when I do my makeup, I am setting with under eye setting powder kind of in this whole area. And right now I'm really not, just barely under my eyes. I'm using a little bit less than I normally would just to kind of get the job done. I'm trying not to cover up the highlighter, which is a little bit hard, you know, depending on your face shape, but I think that's going to be pretty good. And actually, gosh, this highlighter looks fantastic. I'm really, really impressed with that. I do want to put a little bit of powder on the rest of my face. This is Wetnwild Reserve Your Cabana. This is a glowy type powder, so I'm kind of just resetting things where it may have creased. And again, I don't want to use like very much, just barely anything, honestly. Just kind of in the middle of the forehead, and then my chin is definitely pretty oily. That's where I do get oily, so that I definitely have to chin set, and then also here around the smile lines and my nose. But the rest I am going to leave. I will say that the cream blush is looking a little subtle, and so I've done this many different ways over the years. I've done a cream look and then I have set the whole thing. Well, I'll set the bronzer with a powder and a blush and the highlighter as well. You could set some of it, you could set none of it. You know, it really depends on what you're going for, what your skin type is. I think today, the rest of the skin is looking okay. So I think because the blush is looking subtle, I am gonna put a little bit of powder blush. I'm gonna use the most subtle powder blushes I have, which are the ones from Hourglass. This is the Ghost palette. I'm just going to combine these, but yeah, these are not crazy pigmented. And these are also glowy, so yeah, there we go. I do like a more heavy blush look, I will admit. You know, I know some people like less blush, some people like more, you know, it's all personal preference. I like a little more blush, so this is more my style. I could have added more cream blush, honestly, but I think the powder, it does help it last longer. That's kind of the issue is, you know, I have tried to do like a whole cream contour, cream everything without setting it, and it moves around quite a bit throughout the day, you know, so that just doesn't work for me. But a small amount of powder under the eyes, a little bit in the center of the face, and then the blush, I actually think this is pretty good. The highlighter looks fantastic. I'm gonna just let that be. I really like that. So yeah, this is pretty good. I'm just gonna finish up the rest of my makeup here with brows, and I did the lower lash line. The only bronzer I want to add is a little bit to my neck, because my neck definitely tends to be a bit more pale than the rest of me. So I'm adding a tiny bit of this bronzer from the Becca and Chloe palette. I often put some bronzer on my neck because I always have sunscreen on it, so it tends to be much paler than the rest of me. All right, let's do a lip. I'm going to put on lip liner. This is ColourPop BFF. This is just a nude. I really do like it. Let's just do a gloss on top. This is Anastasia Toffee. I haven't used this in a really long time. I figured now is the time. It's kind of a browny, pinky nude. These are pretty pigmented lip glosses. Alrighty, here's the final look, and I really do like it. There is not much powder on my face, only a small amount under my eyes, a little bit in the center of my face, and a tiny bit of the blush, which I do like. And I will say, you know, blush is a part of my makeup that tends to fade, so I do like setting that. But I think it looks really good, and I think this is one of those things you can't really see on camera as much, but in person, I do think that this looks more natural than kind of my usual makeup, where I'm not really using, you know, these cream products. It's just all powder. But I think particularly the highlight and the blush and this contour look really good in person. Very blended, not heavy. I don't know, I really like it. So yeah, let us know what you think. What are your favorite cream products? I'm very curious. Have you tried the new Fenty ones? I'm curious what you guys do, whether you do the whole technique of underneath the foundation or on top, you know, or you don't have to use foundation at all, honestly. You know, you can do whatever you want, which is what's so fun about makeup. That is it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.